Service friends, I'm Orpheus Praxis, and welcome to my channel. We're used to living in a world where there's truth and falsehood, where any statement can be reduced to a simple yes or no. But what if every attempt to make a categorical judgment about reality inevitably leads us into logical dead ends? Today, we're focusing on a research work that boldly challenges the very foundation of thought. Its conclusions offer a radical view on the limits of knowledge and question our need for absolute certainty. We'll try to make sense of this text, which invites us to abandon contradictory claims about reality. Over to the studio.
Welcome to the deep dive. We cut through the noise, bringing you insights from your sources. Today, well, we're really getting into some deep questions about truth, falsehood, based on work from Berlin, Beyond Duality. You know, we tend to see things in pairs, true, false, good, bad. This source challenges that whole idea, really asks us to question the basics.
Yeah, it's fascinating how systematically it takes apart our usual ways of thinking about this stuff. It pushes you past just, philosophical ideas into a really rigorous look at assumptions we barely even notice we have. It really shows how simple ideas can unravel what we think is certain.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The source kind of throws us in at the deep end, right, with these questions. Everything is true, everything is false, and even everything is both true and false. Feels like a real puzzle. So what's the first hurdle? The idea that everything is true. Why doesn't that work, according to this?
Well, the first big takeaway is that truth. It isn't some standalone thing. It fundamentally needs falsehood to even mean anything. Think about it, if everything was true, the word true loses its function, its contrast. There'd be nothing for it not to be. So saying everything is true kind of cancels itself out. It collapses logically.
That's interesting. Truth needing falsehood. It feels backwards almost. So, okay, if that doesn't work, what about the flip side? What if we say everything is false? Does that hold up?
Nope, that runs into a similar wall according to the source. If you say everything is false, well, that implies there's zero truth anywhere. But just like truth needs falsehood, falsehood needs truth as its opposite to have meaning. If there's absolutely no truth, then falsehood also becomes meaningless. So that assertion, everything is false, it's also seen as unsustainable.
Right, so can't be all true, can't be all false. What about the really tricky one? Everything is both true and false at the same time. How does the source handle that apparent paradox?
Yeah, that's where it gets particularly mind-bending. The text basically argues that in our normal logic, truth and falsehood are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have pure light and pure dark in the same place, same instant. So a statement can't be both true and false simultaneously in that framework. But, and this is key, the work also says you can't definitively prove they can't coexist either, or that they can't both not exist. Our standard logic just lulls there. It's a stalemate.
Okay, wow. So we've sort of knocked down all these universal claims. Everything is true, no. Everything is false, no. Both logically problematic. And then the source hits us with this really bold conclusion. Therefore, assert nothing. Hang on. He isn't saying assert nothing, an assertion itself. How does that work without contradicting itself?
That's a really short point. It's not meant as another universal rule to assert. It's more like a recognition. Recognizing that making any of those sweeping claims everything is X inevitably leads you into these logical contradictions. So by not asserting, by stepping back from trying to label everything universally, you avoid falling into those traps. It's about observing the limits of the system.
Okay, I think I get that. It's about the act of universal assertion being the problem. And this leads towards emptiness, as Priest calls it, which isn't like, a void, right? It's more about concepts lacking inherent existence.
Exactly. It's not nothingness in the sense of absence. It's emptiness of fixed independent reality. Concepts only mean something in relation to other concepts, like up needs down.
And the source uses these four logical constructs to explore this, between A and not A.
That's right. And the fourth one is particularly revealing. Neither not A nor not A.
Right. Neither not true nor not true. Can you give an example of how that helps understand emptiness?
Sure. The text uses examples like, but then crucially adds, and no non-truth, or there is no existence, but also, just as there is no absence of it, it pushes beyond simple yes, no, ice is not. It's trying to get us to see past the labels themselves, to see that the underlying reality, if you can call it that, isn't captured by truth or by not truth.
So it's like peeling away labels until there's nothing left to label?
Precisely that. Priest calls it emptying the concepts until even the basis for designation is gone. It's like dismantling the very framework we use to categorize. The ultimate point being made is that everything, whether we call it existent or non-existent, all our concepts, they ultimately point towards this emptiness of inherent fixed meaning.
That is a profound challenge to how we normally operate, how we understand reality itself. It really makes you rethink fundamental assumptions.
It certainly does. And maybe that's the point. It leaves you with a question, doesn't it? If all these assertions about truth and falsehood seem to circle back to contradiction, and if even concepts like existence point towards this emptiness, what might that imply about the very nature of what you perceive as real? And maybe, just maybe, how could seeing things this way change how you approach certainty, how you hold your own understanding? Something to really mull over.
Subscribe to walk this path together with us. I am Orpheus Praxis, wishing you all clarity. Namaste.